All right. Generally, what not to do if you want the world to rally around you. North Korea is saying that it wants to sink Japan and beat the United States into the dust. And all of this, of course, ahead of the big annual UN powwow that kicks off formally next week. Israeli Labor Party member Earl Margalit joins us right now. He's, by the way, one of the richest members of the Knesset. Big into venture capital, technology.
Technology was something we built in the last 30 years in Israel, and we're happy that the startup generation is coming into politics and into leadership.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Let me get your take, because here, despite political differences in a lot of other areas with the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, you have the same tough approach when it comes to countries like Iran and, by extension, I would assume North Korea. Many argue this administration, the Trump administration, fears that the Iranians are working behind the scenes, sometimes not behind the scenes, to help the North Koreans. Do you believe that?
Yes, and North Korea is not just about testing missiles and threatening Japan and the U.S. It's also about sending technology to the Middle East.
So how do you stop that? What do you do?
We saw what happened with the Syrians. It's now exactly 10 years to wiping out the nuclear Syrian facility. Imagine what would have happened if Syria had nuclear
Well, you know,
weaponry.
President Trump intimated today, sir, that they're very close to revisiting this agreement, maybe ripping it up. How would you feel about that?
I think we need to be very aggressive on two issues. One that exists inside the agreement is the testing of ballistic missiles. That cannot continue. That should be viewed as a breach. The French said it's a breach, and I think the U.S. should support it as well. The other thing that's not addressed in the agreement, but should be put on the table perhaps as an amendment to the agreement, is the proxy military state strategy of Iran. It's doing the same. It's doing this with Hezbollah in Lebanon, with 830 million this year to terror. It's doing it now in Syria. It's doing it in Yemen, and it's now doing it in Gaza.
Part of it is proving it so you could stop it, right? And then rip up an agreement, because that's a big step, isn't it?
Ripping up an agreement is not so easy, and I know that people understand that, and I know that both Nikki Haley and the U.S. ambassador and Rex Tillerson, they're talking about it, but I do think the U.S., Israel, the European countries need to take a tougher stance before doing it. So you
wouldn't shelve the agreement right now. You'd revisit what they're doing to potentially violate it.
Exactly. I would put two issues on the table. Stop the spread of terror, because it's destabilizing the region in a big way, and stop the ballistic missiles, and do something else which is positive, and that is work with the pragmatic Arab states and Israel on security alliance, economic development alliance, and put a stop to the extremists in the Middle East and say no to Iran.
All right, Mr. Margalit, thank you very much for all this breaking news on hurricanes and everything else.